Hello everyone, this is mathematics. The topic is indices. Workshop tutorial. I'm Omenka Fivu, a graduate from Department of Chemistry, Benue State University, Makurdi, Nigeria. You can reach me on my email, either the Gmail or the Yahoo. So I'll be taking you on indices to solve some related questions using the application of indices via the laws of indices. In one of the questions you have here is solve completely 4 to the power of 2x plus 3 all over 2 minus 65 into bracket 4x plus 8 is equal to 0. This is a question relating to the indices, and we are allowed to use laws of indices to solve completely in order to get the value of x. Answer. The initial question is 4 to the power of 2x plus 3 all over 2 minus 65 into bracket 4 to the power of x plus 8 is equal to 0. First, recall that from the laws of indices, we're talking about the product law, which says that a to the power of m times a to the power of n is equals to a to the power of n plus n, which implies that if the basics are the same, you are allowed to pick one of the basics, then you sum the powers, that is, you add up the powers. So with our understanding, it was a question which says that 4 to the power of 2x plus 3 all over 2 implies that the basis here is 4 and the bases are the same. So the basis, since the bases are the same, you pick one of the 4, then you sum the powers. That is how we have this to be what? 4 to the power of 2x plus 3 all over 2. Then, if you want to bring it back to introduce the second base, which is 4, then we have to introduce what? Multiplication sign. Therefore, have it to be 4 to the power of 2x times 4 to the power of 3 all over 2 minus 65 into bracket 4 to the power of x plus 8 is equal to 0. However, 4 to the power of 2x is also the same thing as 4 to the power of x in bracket, then to the power of 2. That is, I remove this 2, then keep 4x in bracket while keeping 2 outside the bracket. If you multiply 2 times x, you will have it to be 2x, which is the same thing as this. Then times 4 to the power of 3 all over 2 minus 65 times into bracket 4 to the power of x plus 8 is equal to 0. The essence of separating these two is to have the same 4x. There is 4 to the power of x here, and there is 4 to the power of x here. Since there is 4 to the power of x in two places, therefore you're allowed to say that let 4 to the power of x be b. It can be any letter of your choice, so that anywhere there is 4 to the power of x, it can be replaced with b. However, it's also necessary to record that 4 to the power of 3 all over 2, this 3 all over 2 implies that this is a fractional index. So recall that when you have a fractional index, for example, recall a to the power of m all over 2 implies that you use the denominator, which is n, to form an nth root of a, then to the power of what? M. So this 4 to the power of 3 all over 2 implies that you're going to have the square root of 4, then to the power of 3. So have it to be our 4x, which is equal to b, has been replaced here. So have it to be b squared times, also here we'll have it to be what? Square root of 4 to the power of what? 3 from the fractional index law. Then minus 65b, because 4x is equal to b now, plus 8 is equal to 0. b square times 4 square, that is the square root of 4 is equals to 2. So have it to be 2 then to the power of what? 3 minus 65b plus 8 is equal to 0. This has finally led us to what we refer in mathematics as quadratic equation. It has finally led us to what we refer first in mathematics as quadratic equations. Then 2 to the power of 3 implies 2 times 2 times 2. That is 2 times 2 in 3 places, and that is going to be equal to 8. Therefore, b squared times 8 minus 65b plus 8 is equal to 0. From b squared times 8 means 8b squared minus 65b plus 8 is equal to 0. This is what we refer to as a quadratic equation. Referred to as a quadratic equation. This is what we refer to as a quadratic equations. So in a quadratic equations, you are expected to find two numbers, and when you add the numbers, you have value to be 65b, and then when you multiply the numbers, you're going to have the numbers, their value to be 64b squared. The reason why you are having 64b squared means this 8b squared times 8 gives you 64b squared. So you're finding two numbers that when you sum them, you have 65b minus 65b. That when you multiply them, you have 84b squared. So with it understanding, you can have minus 64b, then minus b. Minus 64b minus b gives minus 65b. So minus 64b minus b gives us minus 65b. However, minus 64b times minus b gives plus 64b squared. So the numbers are minus 64 and what? Minus 1. So you replace the number minus 64b minus b to replace minus 65b, the position of minus 65b. Then you factorize. You use a factorization method to factorize. Here you have 8b squared. What is common in 8b squared and what is common in 64b is 8b, because 8 can be found in 64 and b can be found in this 64b. So and also 8 can be found in 8 and b can be found in this 8b squared. Therefore, we'll factorize 8b out. 8b squared divided by 8b. This 8b squared here divided by 8b. You're left with b, so you put the b in your bracket, minus 64b divided by 8b is equal to what? 8, because b we cancel b, then 64 divided by 8 is equal to 8. So you now write it inside the bracket, minus b minus 8. The reason why there is plus here and there is minus in the bracket is because from our arithmetic, minus times minus is equals to what? Plus. So in essence, if you multiply all the numbers or terms outside the bracket, you're going to have the same equation above. So therefore, minus times b, you have minus b, minus times minus, you have plus, then you have your 8, or is equal to what? 0. So now, since the values or the terms we have in the bracket are the same, so you are allowed to pick only one bracket, then you keep the ones that are outside the bracket to have a bracket. Therefore, have it to be 8b minus 1 into bracket b minus 8, or is equal to 0. Then you continue to solve further. 8b minus 1 is equal to 0, or b minus 8 is equal to 0. That is, you ensure that each bracket is equal to 0. Therefore, you have it to be 8b minus 1 is equal to 0, or b minus 8 is equal to 0. Therefore, you can solve separately. 8b minus 1 is equal to 0. So let us find a way to make this b the subject of the formula. So 8b minus 1 plus 8b minus 1. What is making this 8b not a standalone is this minus 1. So you find a way to remove this minus 1 from this side. And the opposite of minus 1 is plus 1. Therefore, you are allowed to say add 1 to both sides. So you're adding 1 to this plus 1, then plus 1 to 0. So you have it to be 8b minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 plus 1. Then for the second, you have it to be b minus 8 is equal to 0. What is making this b not to stand alone is this minus 8. So you can add 8 to both sides to remove the minus 8. So b minus 8 plus 8 is equal to 0 plus 8. 8b is equal to 1, or b is equal to 8. 8b is equal to 1. We are interested in making b the subject of the formula. So the best thing you do is what? You divide both sides by what? 8. Divide both sides by 8, have it to be 8b divided by 8 is equal to 1 all over 8. Therefore, b is equal to 1 all over 8. For the second one, which is what? Now b is equal to 8. Since b is equals to 4 to the power of x, as we have already known earlier and said earlier, therefore we're going to replace all the b with 4 to the power of x. Therefore, 4 to the power of x is equals to 8. Also, since 2 to the power of 2 is equals to 4 and 2 to the power of 3 is equals to 8, you're going to use 2 to the power of 2 to equal to 4 to replace 4 here, and 2 to the power of 3 to replace 8. Therefore, 2 to the power of 2, all in brackets, to the power of x will be equal to 2 to the power of 3. Then the x now, x times 2, we're going to have it to be 2x. So 2 to the power of 2x is equal to 2 to the power of 3. The bases are the same, so we are allowed to cancel them out. So when you cancel them out, you are left with 2x, you are left to the powers, which is 1. 2x is equal to 3. Divide all through by 2. Divide all through by 2 to find the value of what? X. So 2x divided by 2 is equal to 3 all over 2. Therefore, x is equals to 3 all over 2. However, for the second, which is what? For the second, which is b is equals to 1 all over 8. We should also recall that it is very important to recall that a to the power of minus 1 in the laws of indices also implies that 1 all over a. That is, in the laws of indices, when you have the index to be negative index, you have it to be a to the power of minus 1 is equal to 1 all over a. Therefore, 1 all over 8 is equal to a to the power of minus 1 from the laws of indices. Hence, b, in this case now, b will no longer be equal to 1 all over 8, but hence, b is equals to 8 minus 1. Since b is equals to 4x, as we have already known earlier, therefore we're going to replace b with 4 to the power of x. So 4 to the power of x will be equal to 8 to the power of minus 1. Since 2 to the power of 2 is equals to 4, we're going to use 2 to the power of 2 to replace 4. Then, and 2 to the power of 3 is equals to 8. We're going to use 2 to the power of 3 to replace 8 in this equation. Therefore, 2 to the power of 2, all in bracket, to the power of x is equal to 2 to the power of 3, all in bracket, to the power of minus 1. Then you use the powers to multiply by powers. Therefore, x times 2, you have 2x is equals to minus 1 times 3. You have it to be 2 to the power of minus 3. Therefore, you have it to be 2 to the power of 2x is equals to 2